Welcome to South Park Theater. I'm Andy Amrine, your host, and welcome to BPTV. And today, 2 days before Christmas, but we are here at South Park Theater with my good friend, Mr. Doug Oster, and Lorraine, the director here at South Park Theater. Why are we standing out here at South Park Theater just before Christmas? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you. We are standing here in the freezing cold because we are so excited to bring our garden back to life here, and we are going to do that with the help and guidance of
The
Mr.
one,
exactly.
the only
The one
Mr.
and
Doug
only Mr.
Oster.
Doug
Well, believe it or not, I've seen this garden before, and it's been a long time, but I'll never forget visiting 10 years ago, I think it was, and seeing how spectacular it was. Now, I know that it needs work. I can see that it needs work, but I want you to be encouraged that the bones are there, that this is not going to be as hard as you think, and I've already got lots of ideas for you, and I think between the three of us,
We got this.
we got this, and we got just a project even today we can do. We can plant bulbs today, and we're going to be able to add color that's going to happen early in the spring, and that's just the start.
Well, I'm ready. I'm excited. Doug, take us around. Tell us what to do. I'm ready to work.
I'm going to supervise.
Doug, I appreciate you coming out to South Park Theater here, and a little chilly today and a few days before Christmas, but I know in your garden world, you never sleep.
Yeah, well, as long as the ground hasn't frozen,
and
we
it's
can
not.
still do work, and I'm very excited to be here because now that I'm here, I have seen this garden before.
Okay, excellent.
Years ago.
Okay.
And I'm very excited because from your standpoint, you've got the bones here. This is what's great is that the bones are here. All these things that are in place, we don't have to worry about them, and we're just going to talk about working other things into these beds because the beds look good. Like this isn't. I was kind of thinking like, oh my gosh, we're going to have to start from scratch. No, the soil is everything. The soil looks good. You've got a big pile of mulch over there. That's good too.
Yes, thank you, Andy.
So tell me what you know about this space.
When I walked into this space 14, 15 years ago, it was a beautiful perennial garden. There was lots of color and there was something blooming all year round. It was really kind of one of the prides of South Park Theater. Our patrons could come out, have a seat in the garden, not be surrounded by weeds, but be surrounded by colors. And it was something that they looked forward to. I remember the kind of disarray coming along slowly, and before we knew it, we got to a place where a space as big as this just got overrun with weeds, and our solution was to just kind of start from scratch, which I'm sure puts us in a much better place now than where we were probably 5 or 6 years ago.
So any garden that doesn't have a gardener, this is what always happens.
Yeah.
You know, when you lose your gardener, the wilds take over. And so, like you were telling me before we started, it's just become weed control.
Yes, exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So that's going to be our first discussion is what are we going to do about the weeds? How are we going to stop these weeds so that we can see, I'm sure there are still perennials in here that are, no?
Sure,
Yeah,
probably
that are
somewhere under there,
going
yeah.
to
Yeah.
sprout up. When we get to the other side of the season, we'll see what sprouts, and we'll know from the foliage what it is. But I think for now, an easy thing to do when we're thinking about April, we can put in some daffodils, even though it is brutally cold out here.
Yep.
But we've been lucky that winter has had a slow start. I've been planting bulbs at home. So let's walk through here and talk a little bit about what we see, and then I'll give you a couple ideas.
Great.
And then we'll plant some bulbs, okay?
That's great. I'd love it.
And we're going to make it nice.
I'm sure. I really can't wait for it to be returned to glory.
I want to see what's left.
Okay, before you do
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a lot of good stuff in here, I'm assuming. I don't know how much you guys ripped out. I don't know what happened, but let's just, when we get to sprouting season, let's see what sprouts.
Okay.
Then we can take it from there. Because I don't think you need to rototill right now, in my opinion, without getting really in there. the soil looks good. I mean, it looks like they've worked on it for a long time. It looks decent. And we can amend every planting hole. You know, that's the key to having a garden is the soil. So the soil looks pretty good. We'll help it out every time we plant something. All we have to decide now is how we'll deal with the weeds. If we can have this garden club, we're in good shape.
Yeah.
And then secondly, what we're going to plant. And so you and I can just sit and talk about different pollinator plants and, you know, think about number one, deer resistance, number two, full sun. You know, we got the right plant for the right place. And then the possibility of adding more bones at some point. You know, something special. Something the deer won't bother, but, you know, right off the bat, that corner.
Yeah, it needs something, right?
Yeah, it would be nice to have something like 20 foot tall eventually, not too big. Serviceberry, Coosa dogwood. I don't know. We'll think of something. But so lucky to have what you have here already. I mean, don't worry. It's with a little bit of TLC, everything's going to be okay.
That's a huge relief to hear because it's really just been a barely staying afloat with this thing and just waiting water this whole time. So the idea that we could actually be enjoying this instead of being burdened by it is.
And you have running water?
Promising. We do, yeah.
Like a hose?
Yes, we
Right in the corners of the
All right,
house.
good.
One right there, which also, you know, I always thought, just because I've seen these other gardens before, the idea of having a hose with, little holes in it along the way and having something where all we have to do is turn that on, since it's right there, I think could be possible, right?
Drip irrigation would be the number one way to do this.
Great.
Because it's gonna stop the manual labor of extra watering. Until that's installed, you don't have to worry too much about watering until we get to June, and at that point only once a week. And so you get your watering person.
Yeah, exactly.
That, the key for good watering is early in the morning and soak it. And so to best use the water means to try and use it at the base of every plant. That's why we use the drip irrigation. If someone's physically doing it, we still want to do that the same way if we can. But the space is huge. You might have to run sprinklers. You might have to, because it's a big space. You have to stop at every plant all the way down there.
Yeah.
The grasses we don't have to worry about. So we need to think along those lines of low or no maintenance, deer resistant, and beautiful pollinator plants. That's all doable very easily.
I trust you
All
entirely.
right.
That's blowing my mind, but I trust you.
That's what I do. Okay,
That's great.
So instead of tossing and turning about this, let's just take it step by step. The first thing we're going to do, we could easily do this time of the year, is put in some bulbs.
Yeah, great.
Thank goodness Andy's here to do that.
Yeah, thank goodness.
I got this.
You ready to plant some bulbs?
Absolutely.
All right.
Let's figure out where. This is Spring Bulb Central right here. Anybody who drives through and sees daffodils, again, we're thinking something that deer won't eat. Daffodils is it, okay?
Right. Yeah.
And we got a couple other things too that we could put in, but for your early spring, you get your daffodils come up, then they're gone, and then they're gone in time to plant your annuals here.
Mm-hmm.
But this other bed here is another one that interests me also as a entryway.
Yeah. Oh, such potential.
Right. So to me, this is all short spring bulbs that people are going to, after, the thing about the daffodil is you plant it once and every year for longer than you and I will be here. Mm-hmm. And everyone's going to, when they drive by, they're going to see those spring bulbs, and it's going to draw them to the site. Mm-hmm. So I got a good idea. Oh, I know how we're going to do this. I've been working for flowerbulbs.com.
Okay.
doing some work for them. They don't sell anything. They promote bulb planting. I'm going to talk to her right after the holidays and say, hey,
Help
I
us
have a
with the
project. Right, I have a project that's going to be good for everybody. This is going to be fun. That's how you have to look at this. This is going to be fun.
I do think it could be fun. It's just such a big space, and there's so much that we do here.
The string trimmer is going to be your
I would have never thought.
is
I
going to
thought
be your
you'd laugh
godsend.
at me.
You could do a
for
string
doing that.
trimmer in here early in the spring. Once we figure out what's what,
Yeah.
one of your volunteers could be through here in 45 minutes.
Absolutely.
And so what's
The kind of thing
not
we
supposed to
are
be
capable
here
of.
can be removed. What is supposed to be here can be left, and then the sky's the limit. This fence could be a space for
climbing plants.
exactly.
Yes, we had a wonderful clematis, I think it's called.
It's still going to come up.
Yeah, it does. It's right by the front there. It's so measly now. It's
Yeah.
still there, you can tell, but you get like one bloom.
As soon as it sprouts,
amazing.
we'll feed it.
Great.
You know, that's part of this too.
Yeah.
Just figuring out what needs a little help. All right, you ready to go to work yet?
I'm
Okay.
excited. I'm
No more
anxious.
detours.
So look at that beautiful mixture of there's small daffodils. There's going to be a bunch of different ones. The reason we're going with a mix,
Yeah.
first of all, that's what got donated. But secondly, a mix is great for daffodils because they're all kind of yellow and white, so they'll all go together. But you get different bloom times,
Oh,
which
that's
is what we
great.
want. We want to thinking
Yeah.
about this garden. We're thinking spring bulbs. We're thinking for daffodils, you got early season, mid season, late season, and they're all in here.
Good.
When we plant a bulb, just so you know, we plant it 3 times as deep as the bulb itself.
Okay.
Okay? And luckily we have a big strong man here to drill.
3 times as deep as the bulb.
Right.
I'm ready.
You drill, we'll drop them in. How does that sound?
That sounds perfect.
When my kids were little, I used to, this time of the year, you're grounded, and I would drill and they'd have to put the daffodils in. And those daffodils are still blooming today, and my kids are like 35. They're like, I don't remember what I did, but we planted those together. I think we're just going to dump these into the box. Well, this will give easy access to them. So this looks like about the first, about 150, I would guess.
Yeah, you know, you said a couple hundred and seemed like a lot, but just sitting here in the box.
Yeah, it'll be done with that ball bogger. We'll be done quick. One thing I wanted to show you. When they look like that, it's one bloom. When they have like a little extra on there, that should be a little bigger, but that's what we call another nose. That eventually will be a second bloom. And so if you're ever picking out bulbs on your own at a nursery or something, look for one with more than one nose. Like sometimes they'll sell them like this. I'll just sit there and pick the biggest ones out. That's the idea. All right, Andy, let's plant.
Ready. Part 2 on it.
They could be pretty close together, actually. Here? That looks good. Let me see. Hold on. Yeah, I need a little bit. I'm doing this. There we go. Right like that. Now we have a good size hole for it. See this?
Yeah.
Put the root side down, and then we just kind of do that. Yeah, there you go, Andy. It's perfect. All right.
All right, here, I'll take over.
I like that idea.
Yeah, you're doing all the work here.
We don't want to really do them in rows. We want to do them in drifts, so we'll just put another kind of in there. That'll be perfect. We can only get you two to come to my garden. I like this operation.
I told Andy, I'm sure he's told you the story, but I asked him if he could help me control the weeds over there in this big garden. He goes, how about we build you a patio?
Perfect. And see, when he puts this one other row in here,
Yeah.
this won't look like rows.
this is what we call a drift. It's just going to be a bunch of bulbs all kind of mingling together. The thing is, too, daffodils are so tough, it doesn't really matter. You know, sometimes you can't get deep enough.
Now, when the daffodils are done blooming, what do you do with the leaves afterwards? Do you trim them down? I've seen them like gum banded up.
So the downside on bulbs is that when they're done blooming, the foliage doesn't look good. So what we do in those situations is, instead of looking at the bad foliage, we look at the pretty flowers that are over there and let them do their thing, because they're feeding the bulb down below. That's what they're doing. No gum bands, no stringing them up.
Yeah.
Just let them go.
Just let them be. Got it.
We got to think when we're sitting on the bench what we're looking at.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we want something to look at right over there. Could you imagine that whole thing filled with daffodils?
Oh my gosh, not with daffodils. I mean, I can, yes. It sounds wonderful. I'm a big fan of lilacs. Are lilacs deer friendly?
Yeah, and if we're going to do lilacs, we should do something unusual, something cool. They don't have to be just the old standard purple.
Yeah.
They can be all sorts of different colors, and that's the thing we want. That's how I want you to look at the garden. So, lilacs are great. They're kind of a one-trick pony,
Yeah.
but the trick is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Nothing can
Those 2 weeks,
compare
you're-
to the smell of a lilac. The deer don't eat it. It's indestructible. But let's find a cultivar that is special, so that when people are in this garden, they see 3 lilacs, and they're like, I never saw a lilac that looked like that. It doesn't cost you any more money. It's just, it's a choice in putting something in the garden, again, that has to be special. We want everything in the garden to be special.
Okay. Yes,
We're
we
going to
do.
come out this way and go right around here, and then if we have some left, we'll come out that way a little bit.
Okay.
How long have you worked with the theater?
I believe this is my 16th year.
Wow.
Yeah. Time flies.
You know what? Let's hold up for a minute. What do you got left? 25?
Yeah, give or take.
Is there another spot, just a little spot you think you want them? Or do you want to continue to work out here?
What do you think about those planters? Is this enough to...
I think you can
Not
only
enough?
do one.
Okay.
But what you could do, you could just put the very front of that entry by the sign.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Have a little, like about, just a little circle of them. Wonder if there's specific plants that somehow relate to the theater or to acting or to performing.
No idea. I'd be...
That's something to think about. Like, I bet you there's some stuff with names. Like, I know actually there's a daffodil called Spencer Tracy. There's a
Really?
daffodil called Katharine Hepburn. I bet you that's the angle to look at. Oh, there's a rose called Julie Andrews. What do you think of that idea?
I love it. Oh, our patience would...
And there's got to
would-
be
Like Jimmy Stewart?
Shakespeare,
Jimmy-
things named after Shakespeare, or
Oh, yeah, Hamlet. There's a Hamlet something. I
yeah. I think we got a good idea there
Oh, that
between
sounds
us. I think that
very
could be good. Shovel. See what it looks like.
Get the video from actually working.
Looks pretty good. All right. Let's just see where we're at. Okay. Oh, deep. Good. always want to kind of have a little bit of a depression so that any kind of water we get naturally will be soaked up in here, as opposed to this will catch the water
Okay.
in anything you plant. Isn't there some kind of famous Rose quote or something from a play or something you can say?
A rose by any other name. Absolutely. That would be from Romeo and Juliet.
Good job.
Thank you. I love this idea of flowers to go with some theatrical themes.
Just wait till we start Googling it.
I know. I can't wait.
I can't wait either.
I'm gonna do
You
when
know,
I go home.
they put in a bunch of these Julie Andrews roses out at this thing called Remember Me Rose Garden. It's by the Flight 93. It's across from Flight 93 Memorial. And so that's how I knew about that one. But I have a friend that has a big daffodil garden down in Washington with Spencer Tracy. He named the Katharine Hepburn. I know we can get bulbs from him
Oh, cool.
next season. And
Yeah.
so it's going to be fun.
Yeah, that will be fun.
Yeah, I'll probably compress everything. Just turn that right over, it'll be fine. And it'll just decompose into the ground. Yep,
Oh,
perfect. Well, Andy, how long did that take? Half hour?
Half hour,
Yeah.
30 minutes.
For a couple hundred bulbs?
Amazing.
This is going to be so awesome.
Centerpiece.
explosion.
Our start for spring, and I can't wait to start. We've got all sorts of cool ideas. We've already been brainstorming about plants that are named for actors or for performances or names of plays. We're gonna have so much fun putting this together.
Yeah.
South Park Theater will be the showcase of the county again.
Yes.
And
Again.
that's what
Exactly.
we want. Again, as it was
Exactly.
before. So
Great job.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, Lorraine, what did you just say before we started? You are the what?
I'm the rose between two thorns.
wow, I love it. And well, it's pretty much true.
It
You
is
know,
true.
Doug, yeah, it's only 26 degrees maybe, but it's not snowing, and no place I'd have rather been today. And Doug, I can't thank you enough for the knowledge, the skill, and you're a good supervisor too.
Oh, thanks so much. I had so much fun coming here, and I love the brainstorming part, and I'm certainly glad to actually do some real work too. I will promise that I will be doing some real work, but supervising isn't too bad either, and I think we're off to a wonderful start, and I hope that in the next season we can really take it to the next level.
Yeah. What are you thinking, Lorraine?
Thanks. Excuse me. I'm blown away by the possibilities that you really brought to the table today. I mean, bare minimum, weed control and get some color in this place was really what I came in expecting today. And some of the ideas that we've come up with, and the work that we did today alone is really going to produce some great results that I think are going to be a fun extra thing for our theater now.
So do you think
a wonderful
we
asset?
You think we asked the right expert?
Oh my gosh! Absolutely. Are you kidding me? This is
Listen,
There's nobody better.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for trying to bring South Park Theater back and making this great. Like I said, I visited this garden probably a decade ago. When I pulled up, I was like, I remember this garden. And so it's just as exciting for me to be part of the project. And thank you, Andy, for making me part of the project. It's
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
much. We're gonna have so much fun.
Well, it wasn't a lot of arm twisting, Doug. As soon as I called you and Lorraine was standing there and she's like, you were only talking to him a couple minutes. And he said, yes. I says, well, that's Doug. He's a very kind, giving, but he loves
Wait,
gardening.
is it Doug or is it Andy? I think Andy gets this result from everybody.
absolutely. I've got two excellent people sitting beside me right now. I couldn't be more
Well,
thrilled.
I just love the possibility, Doug, of reinventing South Park Theater, showing the theater back to the community and making it the center point of South Park. But from the theater, the building, the patios, the outdoor theater, the stormwater management, because you know how important the water management is of it, but to bring this garden back to life. I remember coming to Children's Playground across the street and dragging Mom and Dad to the garden here just to see the garden. And it's, on Christmas week, seeing it, it's not too much alive here, but the idea of planting those couple hundred bulbs to what we're going to see in April, and with your expertise and guidance, this garden's going to be gorgeous. It is absolutely going to be, and I'm excited for spring already. And you know how much I love snow.
I know
but
you do. You keep saying that four-letter word, snow. As a gardener, I can't stand it. But
well,
I'm
every garden has to sleep too.
I know, but I can see all the possibilities here.
Yeah.
You know, you might not see a lot of things living, but I can see so many possibilities here, and it's not far-reaching. Like I said, the bones are here, and we're just going to fill in, and I'm just very much looking forward to seeing this place grow.
Well, and that's what I can't envision. I love gardening, but I don't have your vision of what to plant and where to plant. And yeah, I could see this garden, and I'll bring any tool you need me to bring, and I'll help you plant it, but I need your expertise. You're the organic gardener. You know what to plant, where to plant, that it's going to survive with water, lack of water, and of course those deer that
Right.
they like
That-
to sleep in this garden. So.
That tall order we were talking about before of, well, wouldn't it be great if we had this? It should be a plant that can check all of these boxes that I wouldn't have even thought were possible, and you're telling me it's no problem at all.
Well,
It's
when you're
really
telling me the deer come to watch the performances, I know we've got a problem.
great. They absolutely do, right over there. A whole family of them. They've watched several of our shows.
Well, it's going to be a wonderful project.
It is.
And we're going to
Exciting.
It's the fun. It's the fun of the brainstorming, the planning, and then implementing it. Just today, just putting those dried papery bulbs in there, and before you know it, this bench is going to be surrounded with beautiful color. And I'm telling you what, people are going to be here and they're walking by. They're going to see that color. They're going to come over. They want to see it. They want to smell it. And they want to sit here.
Well, everyone, thank you for watching BPTV. And Doug Oster, Lorraine, thank you for allowing us to share the story of bringing back this garden. So stay tuned. It's going to be an exciting spring.